Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered why some days you feel bombarded by every little sound or light, and other days it is just fine? Well, this new study dives deep into that feeling for people who experience migraines. Imagine your senses are your body's alarm system. For most of us, that alarm is pretty good at telling the difference between a gentle breeze and a raging storm. But for people with migraines, that alarm can be a bit oversensitive. This study asks a really interesting question. Can we actually predict a migraine by paying attention to how sensitive our senses are before the headache even hits? And what does this tell us about what is going on in the brain? So, the researchers wanted to figure out two main things. First, do people with migraines generally experience more discomfort from things like bright lights, loud noises, or strong smells even when they don't have a headache? And second, does this sensory discomfort change throughout the entire migraine cycle? And can it give us a heads up that a migraine is coming? To tackle this, they ran two studies. In the first study, they got a bunch of people together. Some had migraines and some didn't. They asked everyone to fill out some questionnaires about how bothered they were by different sensory experiences. Think of it like a survey asking, how much does bright light bother you? How much do loud noises bother you? And they looked at things like vision, sound, smell, touch, and even motion sickness. They specifically tested people with migraines when they weren't having a headache, which they called the Interictal phase. This is important because it helps them see if there is a baseline difference in sensitivity. And what did they find? Well, it turns out that even when they didn't have a headache, people with migraines did report more discomfort from light, smells, and touch compared to people without migraines. But interestingly, they didn't find a significant difference in how bothered people were by sounds, or if they got motion sick. This is a key point. It is not like all senses are universally more sensitive all the time for everyone with a migraine. They also dug a little deeper and split the migraine group. They looked at folks who experience aura, which are those visual disturbances or other weird sensations some people get before a migraine, versus those who don't. They discovered that people with migraine with aura reported more visual discomfort compared to people without migraine. And people with migraine without aura reported more discomfort from odors. This shows that even within the migraine experience, there are differences. Now, study 1 gave us a snapshot of sensory discomfort when people weren't having a headache. But the real question is, what happens as a migraine approaches? So, for study 2, they moved to a more dynamic approach. They got a group of people with migraines and had them keep a daily diary for a whole month. Every day, these participants filled out modified versions of those same sensory discomfort questionnaires. And they also noted if they had a migraine that day. The goal here was to see how sensory discomfort changed across the migraine cycle. Think about it, this is like having a personal sensory detective following you around for a month, checking in every single day. Did you feel extra sensitive to light today? How about noise? Did you have a migraine? This kind of daily tracking is super valuable because it captures those day-to-day fluctuations that a one-time survey might miss. And here is where it gets really interesting for predicting migraines. They found that, yes, sensory discomfort was highest on the actual day of the migraine headache. And this is a big but, they also found that discomfort increased the day before the headache. This was particularly true for auditory discomfort, meaning sounds bothered people more the day before a migraine, and for visual discomfort, but only for those who experienced aura. This finding is huge for prediction. It suggests that these sensory changes aren't just something that happens during the migraine, but they can actually start before it. They're what they call prodromal symptoms, an early warning sign. Now, what does this all mean? The researchers are really excited about the potential for using these sensory discomfort feelings as an early warning system. Imagine if you could log your daily sensory experiences into an app, and it could tell you, hey, based on your sensitivity levels, you might be at higher risk for a migraine in the next 24 hours. Changer for people who suffer from migraines, allowing them to prepare, maybe take medication preemptively, or just adjust their plans. But here is a crucial takeaway. It is not one size fits. All the study found that the specific sensory modalities that become more bothersome can differ from person to person, and also depend on whether someone experiences aura. For some, it might be sounds leading up to it. For others, it might be lights. This means the best way to use this information is to track it individually. Now, like any study, this one has its limitations. They relied on self-report, meaning people were telling them how they felt. And the studies were done online, which might have its own unique influences, especially during the pandemic when screen time increased. Also, they had some challenges with participants reporting on odor and tactile discomfort consistently. meaning we don't have as much data on those senses as we'd like. Despite those limitations, the main story here is really powerful. Migraines are more than just headaches. They involve complex shifts in how the brain processes sensory information, and these shifts can start before the pain. By paying attention to our senses, especially for those with migraines, we might be able to catch an attack before it really takes hold. This research opens up exciting possibilities for better prediction and management of migraines. I think this is a fantastic glimpse into how our everyday sensory experiences can be really important clues to what is happening under the hood. It really emphasizes how we need to listen to our bodies and notice those subtle shifts. So, what do you think about using sensory discomfort as a migraine predictor? Have you ever noticed your senses becoming more sensitive before a headache? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this deconstruction of migraine research interesting, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more deep dives into science, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.